Give me 30 seconds. We're live.
Welcome to the City of Eureka Springs Bozeman Planning Commission meetings, Tuesday, June the 14th, 2022. Tom, if you could establish a roll call, please.
Yes, thank you. Ansel Lee.
Here.
Fergie Stewart.
Here.
Joe Hill.
Here.
Megan Morris.
Here.
Peter Graham.
Here.
And Susan Harmon.
She's absent with notice.
And Tom Buford, Secretary.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to start with the Board of Zoning adjustment tonight. We have one item on the agenda, which is the rezone of 14 Washington. I get approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comments. Steve Beecham. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Beecham. I live at 1010 Road. I'm here concerning the rezoning of 14 Washington Street. I encourage the Commission to not rezone this property from residential to commercial. This house is within 200 feet of 2 B&Bs and is also near a 5-unit apartment house. Making this property commercial will create an even bigger traffic and parking problem for that street. Parking is a problem on Washington Street as it is. Adding 4 to 8 cars will only make it worse. The driveway of the house is short, and when someone parks there, the sidewalk is partially or fully blocked, and your photo shows that. The parking area behind the house is actually across a separate street and not attached to the Washington Street lot. It is also gravel and includes several staircases to reach the upper parts of the house. Tenants will more than likely take an open street parking space instead. This commercial zoning will allow the possibility of a multi-use tourist lodging or a restaurant or a commercial business with all its additional parking needs. This request for spot zoning in a residential setting goes against the concept of city planning. No one benefits except the owner of the property. Creeping commercialism is a problem that planning faces. However, with a shrinking population, our city needs to protect our residential properties. As I understand this, the owner wanted to sell his property at a high price and missed the housing bubble. The price was lowered and the owner moved to another state before selling his property. There is an offer, but only if the owner can get the property rezoned for commercial use. The potential buyers want to divide the single residence dwelling into a multi-use Airbnb. If the zoning change is made and the sale complete, the money will go to another state. How does any of this help our city and our residential needs? Please consider the need to protect our residents from creeping commercialism.
Thank you. Debbie Frisbee.
Hi, my name is Debbie Frisbee, and I live at 2 Hively Street.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Oh, sorry, I wasn't close enough. Okay, I'm Debbie Frisbee, and I live at 2 Hively Street. First of all, I want to be very clear. I am not against the Burden family. Instead, I am for my neighborhood. Washington and Hively Street homes are all occupied by residents of this city. We know our neighbors. 14 Washington only has one easily acceptable parking space for guests carrying luggage. Guests would be vying with the tenants of the multi-unit rental being rebuilt for the few street spaces available. This is not acceptable for any commercial endeavor. This home can continue as a private residence as it has for decades. I am hopeful that this time the wishes of the actual residents will be honored. Stop the commercial creep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 3 letters that I need to read into public comment. Stop that. Excuse me. The first letter is from Kathy Becker, Dorothy Farrell Becker, and Allison Rose at 16 Washington. To the Eureka Springs Planning Commission, we live at 16 Washington Street, and granting an approval for overnight lodging or a change in commercial zoning for 14 Washington Street would greatly impact us in a negative manner. Our reasons for objecting are as follows. The neighbors at 14 Washington Street already tend to use our parking as if it were their own without our approval and refuse to move, and we need to leave. We are already dealing with noise issues from the Gavali Chapel, and they are there to supervise. We also have to deal with occasional noise from the lodging at Sparky's, but at least there is supervision to oversee if things tend to get too loud. If you grant the request of the owner of 14 Washington, there will be no supervision since they no longer reside in Eureka Springs. When we initially moved into our current residence at 16 Washington, we were informed that a survey of 14 Washington showed the residence was technically on the edge of the property. This fact does not bother us, but it shows all areas between the 2 residences belong to me. This will lead to unsupervised guests trespassing onto our property. Trespassing will ultimately lead to liability issues. Being 2 women living alone, strangers roaming our property could also affect our safety, with the owners providing no supervision. There are already too many houses with commercial zoning exceptions on the street. When we purchased our home, we were not notified that Washington Street would be a commercial area. We were told that even though our house had a history of being a B&B, since it was not grandfathered, it could not be a bed and breakfast. It was too close to another B&B. This was one reason why we purchased the residence. If you decide to grant the exception to 14 Washington Street for nightly lodging, this will open the door to allowing the house to be used for other commercial uses, such as a restaurant, storefront, etc. We thank you for reading our objections and entering them into the record. We would appreciate it if I was notified of the Commission's final decision. The next one is from Gwen Bennett. Dear Planning Commission, my property is within 200 feet of 14 Washington Street, and I oppose rezoning it to C3. This rezoning request, if granted, circumvents our 200-foot rule between like businesses, and as predicted when the Stone Church was rezoned from residential to C3, contributes to creeping commercial. That means that one rezoning from R1 to C3 leading to the next with the rezoning of that property in question is now adjacent to a C3 zone. There is no substantial reason that this home cannot be used as it is currently zoned. The applicants state that they have lost potential buyers because they felt the area was too commercial, and yet 2 properties, 12 Washington and 2 Hively, 1 and 2 doors away, have sold in the last year or 2 as homes. If the buyers of this property want to have nightly rentals, there is plenty of correctly zoned property available for that. It is cheaper to convert R1 to commercial than to buy commercial or CUP property that allows nightly rentals. Not every house should be looked at as a revenue stream, but rather a home in the neighborhood. Thank you for your careful consideration of this request and your service to our city. Gwen Bennett, 76 Mountain. The last one I have is from Dan Hebert at 2 Howell. I want to register my opposition to this request and any other request to rezone a residential area commercial. Our residential neighborhoods need to remain just that, residential neighborhoods. There are ample tourist lodging rooms in Eureka, but a shortage of residential properties. A person should not purchase a residential property with the objective of converting it to commercial. Okay, we don't have any unfinished business, so we'll go on to the rezone. Who's here representing the rezone?
I am, Tyson.
And
Can you hear me?
And who are we speaking to?
This is Tyson Burden.
Okay, thank you for attending. Motion to discuss?
I make a motion that we discuss the application for the rezoning of 14 Washington Street.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discussion's open. Mr. Burden, I have a list of questions here that I guess you were asked the criteria for rezoning.
Sure.
And one of them, I wanted to clarify, on number 7, the question was, what substantial reasons exist that prevent the property from being used in accordance with existing zoning? Are there other sites in the city and districts that already permit such use? You state that recent ordinance prohibited nightly rental in R1 zoning. I wanted to clarify that. We recently submitted an ordinance to the City Council, I think last October, that was passed that prohibited tourist lodging in R2 and R3. R1 zoning has not been permitted since 2001, so we haven't done that for 21 years. I just wanted to clarify that. Does anybody have any questions of him? Would you have anything you'd like to say, Mr. Burden?
Sure. I'd just like everybody to know that we didn't start off, we've lived there over 10 years. I've been on the hospital commission. My wife's been on Parks Commission. We've done a lot with trails. We actively participated in the community. So no one should think that we bought this property thinking we were just going to flip it into some kind of commercial enterprise. And so when we decided to move, we wanted to sell it as a residence. And so we put it on the market as a residence. And we've had it on the market 7 going on 8 months. I think we've lowered the price over 10 times. We're down, from what I'm told, below a market value. And we've had, the home shown several times, and everyone says it's too commercial, it's too congested. There's a fire lane right on your front yard from the commercial property across the street. Family, it's a large home. It's 4-bedroom, 3,100 square feet. It would require a family, not just a couple. And all the families say it's just too big, and it's too, not too big, it's too commercial, it's too congested, there's too much traffic. We have 9 beer trucks that pass every day. We have a tram, we have a trolley, we've had parades through that street, we have 2 commercial nightly rentals within a half a block. We have the commercial theater right across the street. We have several bed and breakfasts down the street. And so even though I was offered significantly more money than what we're at now for the property if it was commercial, I continued to try to sell it as a residence. And am continuing to do so now. But I've had 2 buyers and show strong interest. And what someone said earlier, that it was going to be turned into multi-family B&B, or I don't know where they're getting that. That's not true. Several things that were said were not true, but anyhow, I think it's beyond the point. So we're, the property would go as a nightly rental, would have a professional management company that would oversee it and take care of it. As you have in your diagrams there, it has numerous parking spots. The garage and the driveway up top. So there's 2 there. There's 2 on the bottom, and then 3 in the back across Dickey Street. If it looks like so far, unless someone gives me an offer, any offer for a residence, that the home will sit there empty. That doesn't seem like that's beneficial for the neighborhood either. I think if, a professional management company had it and rented it out, just nightly rental, and the home was kept up, the yard was attended to regularly, it could actually be a benefit for the community. To say that this somehow is going to commercialize that street more, that street is already so commercialized, I don't really see how that's possible. And so that's kind of the place that we're stuck in right now. We want the home to be used for something, and we're just trying to find a way to do that, frankly. We've already, we are willing to accept much less money than we would get for the commercial if it would sell as a residence. But it's been a long time. We've lowered the price a lot. It's just not happening. So I guess my final point here, another thing is there's no other nightly rentals in the neighborhood for sale. As far as I could see in a search this afternoon and talking to my realtor, there's only one nightly rental for sale in town. And that's down on Main Street. And it's at a much, much higher price per square foot. So there isn't a place where this could be done otherwise. There is a demand for the nightly rental. There is not a demand for residents. And so, that's my point, argument. I understand you're in a tough situation. I've sat on commissions myself, and you have to do what you think is right. But, I would think about the long term on this too. So rejecting this today is going to set a precedent, for anything else on that street. And certainly, we would have to take some sort of action if there was something that seemed similar that was approved later if we're denied today. So that's, just always something to think about is what precedent you're setting here. But I think that's it. That's all my comments. I like all my neighbors. I'm sorry that some of them are upset, with this decision, but I hope they understand that we did try our hardest to sell it as a residence. And, we're just kind of in a stuck situation.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
all.
Does anybody have any other questions?
No, I've looked at the property. I've walked up and down that area many times. I know the White Street Walk, they have that in just recently. His concerns are adequate. I mean, there's a lot of commercial in that area. However, I think that the house, I don't want to want any house to go vacant. At the same time, I think lease to own or some other opportunities may be available for the owner. And I just don't feel comfortable because of the encroachment to the other CUPs and other areas. And that area is extremely dangerous. Cars parked on the street. So I would not feel comfortable turning it into a B&B.
One of the things in master plan is this going to take a residential house, out of commission? There is a need for single-family residential housing in Eureka Springs. The city council addressed talking about affordable housing several times. There have been workshops about trying to have additional single-family housing in Eureka Springs, the need for it. In 2021, there weren't but 5 permits issued for single-family houses an entire year. So there is, there in the commercial areas, there were a lot of permits issued for tourist lodging in the commercial area because people can make a lot more money on tourist lodging than single-family housing. So there is a need to keep residential housing as residential housing. And as Fergie mentioned, you've got 2 houses adjoining that would be impacted also. And they may well want to come in then too and say, well, we've got one beside us, we want to go commercial too. And this is basically spot zoning, which is not recommended in any city's master plan. So I think that's a problem also.
Yeah, I have a plan that on page 435 of our ordinance book, it talks about whether the proposed change would constitute a grant of special privilege to an individual owner instead of protecting the public welfare. I have a problem with this. So, does anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make the motion, we deny the rezoning of 14.
We have to make the motion in the affirmative.
What?
We have to make the motion in the affirmative. And then take a vote.
I make the motion then that we rezone 14 Washington. submitted by the Burtons.
I'll second.
Okay, I would like to do a roll call vote on this one, Tom.
Bacon Morris,
No.
Joe Hill. No. Fergie Stewart,
No.
Ansel Lee,
No.
Peter Graham,
No.
Tom Buford, no.
Okay. Mr. Burden, you were able to appeal this to the city council.
Okay, thank you so much.
Uh-huh. I get a motion to adjourn the
Yeah.
Board of Zoning?
I make a motion that we adjourn the VOZA.
Thank you.
And we need to vote in.
Do
We
what?
didn't vote to adjourn.
Oh, motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 There we go.
Thank you very much.
There we go.
Okay, Planning Commission. We have one item on the Planning Commission, which is the conditional use permit at 46 Hillside. Can I get approval of the agenda, please?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Okay. Have any more public comments? Motion to discuss.
I'd like to make a motion that we discuss the conditional use permit request at 46 Hillside.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So is this when the public initiative come first?
These are the people that I think are buying you're the people that are buying the property, is that correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Dr. Darrell Morgan. This is my wife, Susan. I'm a semi-retiree emergency medicine physician with 35-plus years of doing emergency medicine and now wanting to slow down. This is already a bed and breakfast. It's been one for 20 years. We want to keep it exactly as is. Will we change it over time? Possibly. Are we changing it in the next few months? No way. Because first we have to learn what's going on with it as is, and it's got parking, it's got everything that was discussed not being available at the previous place. We also live on premises, and so it will be our home plus our bed and breakfast.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
I make a motion to discuss the application.
Did we already do that?
We already did that.
Oh, you already did? I'm sorry. Okay.
Sorry, we're
sorry.
not perfect.
I'm sorry. That's okay. No, I have no problem with the application. Its continued use be the same. No desire to do any changes. And I don't know if we have any complaints from the neighbors, but from what I see here today, I'm going to approve it.
I have never had one complaint
Okay.
that I'm aware of at all.
So is that a motion?
Is that a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application for the continued use permit at, I lost my page.
46 Hillside.
At 46 Hillside.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Opposed?
Thank you. Congratulations. We've got some, I guess, do we give them the permit now?
Yeah, you've got to.
Yeah, hang on.
You can come up if you want. Just watch your step up there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Tom, if you would sign there, and then if I could just get you to sign right there. One's fine.
And Dr. Morgan, you know, we have a lot of clinics here that can use a
Oh,
doctor.
yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah, okay.
Let me
Great.
give you your,
Glad to have you
let me
aboard.
give you your
Welcome to the
copy.
neighborhood.
And the Haystack
Congratulations.
We'll be talking about lodging
You're welcome.
subcommittees.
Welcome to Eureka.
I'm leading it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. They're super nice people. The town is going to be blessed to have them as residents.
We wish you the best.
Oh, thank you.
Are you staying here? Are you going to Florida?
I'm probably going to go back home to family. I don't know if you know, but my husband passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He wasn't, you know, how he was a regular here.
Yes.
And so it's been very challenging, bittersweet, but I have no family here.
Well, I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah.
And it's been like a pleasure.
All right, well, Godspeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been an awesome, incredible experience. I loved serving this community, and as I said, bittersweet, but 16 years, I think I did some good work.
That's a good run.
And thank you all for being here.
You're welcome, Susan.
Blessings.
Commission business.
We got, yeah.
Approval of the minutes of the May 10th regular meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the May 10th meeting.
So, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Lodging Subcommittee proposal.
Okay, so that's me. Kylie and I did some work talking through starting a lodging subcommittee for all types of owners, so commercial, historical lodging, and commercial lodging owners. I've kind of outlined the whole purpose of this, what our goals would be. What I've noticed walking around town and getting to know, I go to a lot of business meetings in town for like Heart of Eureka and things like that, and there's so many lodging owners that have no idea what the code is, or if they're even following the rules correctly. Several are unknowingly in violation of things, and so I thought, hey, why not start an education committee, basically, as a start to say, hey, and we'll break it down into maybe it's B&B or historic lodging or commercial, and this is the code. Do a Q&A, let people ask questions. If they have concerns, obviously it has to be open to the public. So people could ask questions if they're next to a lodging, if they're concerned about that, and we can clarify, you know, what the rules are so that everybody is on the same page. My thought was just to get everybody more educated with what it is, really, because so many people don't know, is what I've discovered in town. They don't know where to find it, they don't know where to look, they don't know who to talk to.
So give me an example of what they don't know.
They don't even know where to find code, which is findable online, and I've told them that, but they don't understand where to go. They don't even know when planning commission meetings are held or who to ask questions to. They don't know who Kylie is.
It's overwhelming.
It is, and I think people just, we don't have a lot of advertisement out there, and so then that's when mistakes happen. And then we go around town as planning commissioners and go, hey, somebody's in violation, but they really might not know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's an education thing.
Yeah, and one of the things that, you know, we've got a tourism seminar thing coming up, I think in the 21st. And so one of the things that I would love to see the city do is have a table there. And in that, it brings in new people, or existing businesses are there, but also people looking at starting businesses that are there. And that would help us communicate to potentially new businesses by having somebody with brochures saying, here's our contact information. If you're thinking about starting something in Eureka, give us a call. That's what I'd love to see on that. That's coming up soon.
It is, and that's a great point. I would like to invite realtors to these things too. So as they're listing property and selling it, all parties know what they're allowed to do within their zoning and what could be done, what could be applied for or not, because we're not banning all bed and breakfast applications, but there are zoning districts for that. And so some of our realtors don't understand the rules, getting clarification there. That way people know exactly what they're allowed to do and not do. And it's just a volunteer thing on my part. I just want to help people understand.
Would there be a way to sort of condense that? Those are a lot of good questions. In other words, have those sorts of questions and answers in a form that could just be read or made reference to, you know, a code or something.
Like on a website or?
Yeah, on a website.
Or you mean in discussion? Like our discussions we were talking about breaking it down, and maybe like once a month. We haven't finalized all of that yet, but once a month, and say we're going to focus on commercial this time and what that means in Eureka Springs for buying, selling, renting, what the rules are. And that includes all the big hotels if they're confused about what they're doing. I met a lovely couple that just bought a lodge recently, and they were like, we didn't even know what planning commission was. Like,
You know, it sounds like the realtors need a workshop.
right, which is why I wanted to invite them. Like, hey, if you're going to be selling these properties, let's make sure you understand what you're
So you
selling.
want to have a workshop, which I think is
Yeah.
great, and invite everybody
Yeah,
forward to discussion of, do bullets on this?
yeah, and break it down into types and
yeah.
just
How do you
education.
apply for a permit?
Yeah,
What
how
are
do you
the
do
per-
that?
you know,
What do
do
I
you
do
do?
if I
Yeah.
have a complaint? What do I do if I
Yeah.
want to try something new?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'll make,
Kylie could help us with that.
She is, and she helped me put this outline together, and she's been fabulous. And some of it will end up referring back to HDC too, because maybe it's just a home buyer. I had another business owner who said, I just have a house in town, and I don't know what I'm allowed to do with it. And I was like, you should come too. We should talk about that. And everybody should come and say, these are things I'd like to discuss, and I'll put together another meeting around that thing.
I'm not opposed to that at all.
Great.
Good idea.
gives residents more comfort, like,
It's more like, we're not,
comfortable with
I think planning commission can seem scary sometimes, even
Yeah.
though we're not,
Kinda
you know, but some.
Open house, planning open house.
Yeah, and they can say, hey, these are things I have questions about, and we don't, it doesn't have to be, I want it to be a bridge that people think they can approach planning commission or HDC or city council, and it's all okay.
I just kind of get with Kylie and do a time frame and see what she says, because I think it's a great idea.
Cool, I love it.
Okay? Fergie?
Yeah, we're waiting until the first part of July for the official announcement of what the survey results were. I did have an informal discussion with a local ISP during the ice cream social in Berryville, and the information I obtained was a little alarming, but since it's not official, I'm not probably going to share it, but I don't want everybody to be as optimistic as I was last month. So all I can say is that we're going to keep fighting this fight to get fiber optic in downtown Eureka. And I'll give you guys a full report at the next meeting, because I'll definitely have that. Senator Ballinger promised me I'll have the full report. So we will have the report at the next meeting.
Okay. I believe that we have a workshop with City Council next month to continue our parking discussion. And we're supposed to set the agenda for the July 12th meeting. I would like to do another workshop on the maintenance that we had tonight, and maybe have more information and try to pull some things together and get it out. We can review it before and then discuss that, if that's okay.
That's great.
Are you wanting to do that joint or just us again?
Let's just do it us again.
Okay.
I think we need to shore some things up
About what we're asking for?
about what we're really asking for here before we present, have a workshop with
Makes
them.
sense.
Do we know the date of the workshop with the city council?
I want to say, I was thinking it was July the 5th. And I could be wrong on that, because that's the day after the 4th.
No, I think we did that on purpose.
Did we do that on
I think
purpose?
so. Let me check the calendar real quick.
I'll find out.
Okay.
I have it down as 2 to 3 p.m. on the 5th.
2 to 3 on the 5th, okay. And then we would do ours on the 12th before our meeting.
Okay. 5 o'clock again, basically.
Yeah. Commissioner comments, Joe?
Just was happy that some of the ideas that came out of our mental maintenance workshop, and I think that with some maybe guidance and help from Kylie, that we can begin to pull this together and hopefully have something that can be enforced.
Tom?
I'd like to welcome Peter Graham. This is the first time we've had a full quorum in some time now, so
Hi, Peter.
appreciate you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With no council members.
Megan?
I don't have anything to add. Happy you're here, Peter.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and Peter, welcome. And one of the things that I would hope, Peter, like I do a lot of walking downtown. I interview new businesses and existing businesses, just see how they're doing and let them know that the city really does care. So that's one thing. Also, I want to say that thank you, Eureka, for being open. Great weekend. We had a great little Jeep festival this last weekend. Wasn't as many people as I was hoping for, but it looked good. People were happy to be here, so I'm happy to be here, and so thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
And I want to thank everybody for coming, and we do now have a 7th commissioner, Susan Harmon, who previously served on Planning Commission and then did a stint on City Council. Hopefully she will come to the next meeting. So we welcome her on board. It's been, I don't know, Tom, when we've had
For a while.
7 people. It's been a long time. Looking forward to it. So thank you very much, and get a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right.